Hey everybody, it's Kyla at the MJC again, and today I'm here to walk you guys through the caption and notice sections of the modification motion. Before we get started, as always, I just want to remind everybody that nothing in these videos is intended to be legal advice. So it's a video, and obviously I'm not able to analyze your specific situation and to tell you whether a modification motion is the right thing to use in your case. I can't tell you whether a court will approve what you're proposing your order be changed to, and I can't tell you whether filing this motion is in your best interest. So if you have questions about any of those things, I would recommend that you get some legal advice. Here in Milwaukee County, we have attorneys available for free who can give you some brief legal advice through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. If you are not in Milwaukee County, then I would recommend talking to your clerk of court for your county to talk about what sort of resources are available for people who are representing themselves in their court cases. All right, so let's hop into the form. So when we talk about caption, a caption is just fancy lawyer language for this top part of the form. It is what tells the court and the other people what case it's in and just some basic information about that case. So we'll start at the very top of this section, and you guys will notice that if you've watched any of our previous videos, captions tend to be the same. So this may look familiar if you've filled out one of our different forms previously. All right, so I'm going to start at the top, this very first section. And in this first section, I'm just going to put the county where the case is located. So you'll put the county where your case is located. I put Milwaukee because that's where the Justice Center is, and that is where our sample case that we're doing is located. But if your case came out of a different county, then you're going to put that county. So here on this next line, we're going to indicate whether the original case that your order comes out of is a divorce case or a paternity case. So if you and the other person got divorced and that's how you got an order, you're going to check this marriage box, and that's all you need to do here. If you didn't get your orders through a divorce case, if you got them through, say, a paternity case where they did DNA testing to determine who the child's father was, or if you got it through a voluntary acknowledgement where somebody signed like a blue sheet in the hospital saying they were the father and your court case got based out of that, or if the court did a support and maintenance case while you were married but you aren't living together anymore. All of those sorts of things, basically anything that isn't a divorce case, you're going to check this paternity box. And then here, you're going to put the child or children in the case's initials. So for this case, the child in this case is Sally Smith, and we're just going to put SS, Sally Smith, up there, and just her initials. So that is that section. This next part here wants to know who the petitioner was in the original case. So that isn't necessarily the person who's asking for something with this form. It's whose name was first on the original case. In a divorce case, that is going to be the person who filed for divorce originally. If you and your spouse filed your divorce as joint petitioners, then it's going to be whoever name was listed first on the joint petitioner A line of that original petition that you filed in your divorce. For those of you who are in paternity cases, most of the time it's going to be the mom's name first and the dad's name second. If you don't think that's right for your case, you can certainly check previous filings in your case, so you can check your last court order or the very first petition filed in your case to see what the order is for the names. But most of the time it's going to be mom's name first, dad's name second. So that's what we're going to do on our sample here. I'm going to put Jane Doe, who is the mom in our case, and I'm going to put her as the petitioner. We'll put in her mailing address here, and Main Street here. You'll put the city, state, and zip. You don't need to space it out, so I don't have to space it so the state is all the way over here and the zip is already over here. If you're typing, you can just do it like you normally would. 5326. I do like to, I added a period there for some reason. I do like to space over the phone number just so it's a little bit separate from the address and doesn't look like it's part of that address. Great. And then here on this line is where we're going to put the respondent in our case. So the respondent in this case is John Smith, and we're also going to put a good mailing address for John. And I should note, if you don't know the address of the other person, it's not a big deal for filling out the form. So you can leave the other person's address blank on this form, but you'll still need to get them served. And so you'll want to check out one of our videos about serving the modification motion. But in this case, we do know John's address, so we're just going to go ahead and list that here. And we'll put the city, the state, and the zip code. And then we'll space over. And I'm just going to put the phone number there. Great. So then next, we're going to look and see if the state is a party in your case. So if you aren't sure if the state is a party, you can find out by calling your local child support agency, and they can tell you if the state is a party in your case. Some other ways you might be able to know if the state is a party in your case, you can check and see if a representative from the state has ever showed up at any of your hearings, either if you remember them, you remember someone saying they were an attorney for the state, or if your previous orders say that the state is a party. So maybe they list the state at the top and say that the state was the petitioner in your case, or they say that the state appeared. Those would all be good indications that the state is a party. Usually the state is a party if there's some sort of what they call assignable benefit. And again, that's just some fancy lawyer language for some sort of public assistance, some sort of state benefit. So if you do get state benefits, we would recommend contacting your child support agency to confirm whether the state is a party in your case. Here in our situation, John and Jane know from their previous order that the state of Wisconsin is a party. And then on this right-hand side, you're going to indicate what it is you want to talk about. What about your order you want to change with this motion? And so you have a few different options, and you can check as many of these as apply. I'm going to go ahead and just explain them very quickly. The first one is legal custody. Custody is decision-making power. It is deciding where the child goes to school, or who their doctor is, or whether they can get married or join the military, or what religion they are. All those decisions that parents make for their children, that falls under legal custody here. And do note that custody does not have anything to do with where the child lives or who they spend time with or anything like that. It's just decision-making power. The second one here is physical placement. Physical placement is when you want to talk about where the child lives or what parent they live with, and when they spend time with the parent they don't live with. Child support, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. That's a monetary payment from one parent to the other, or from one party in the case to another, for the support of the child. Maintenance only comes up in divorce cases, and maintenance is spousal support. They used to call it alimony, and again, it can only come up in a divorce case. So if your case wasn't a divorce, then you won't have maintenance in your case. The last of these preset ones is the arrears payment. And so what an arrears payment is if I am ordered to pay child support or maintenance, but for some reason I'm not able to pay for a few months, then what will happen is that I will not make that payment and I will owe a debt to the other person. And that debt is what we call arrears. So back child support and back maintenance, that's what the arrears payment would be. And it's your payment towards those balances. So however much you pay monthly to pay off the arrears. Last but not least, there is an other section, and in the other section you can list anything that applies to your situation. So if it doesn't fit into these categories, you can list it here. A common one that we see from people is that they want to list taxes, so who claims the child on taxes, but it can be anything you want to list that doesn't fit into these other sections. When you're checking these boxes, you only have to check the ones that apply to you and your situation. So if you just want to talk about decision-making power, just check custody. If you just want to talk about where the child lives, there. If you just want to talk about child support, there. And you can check more than once. You could check child support and placement or whatever. For this sample, I'm going to check a lot of boxes because as we go through these videos, we're going to talk about a lot of the different sections. But you don't need to check them all. You just need to check the ones that apply to your situation. Last but not least, in this caption section, we're going to put in the case number. And your case number is going to follow this format. It's going to be number, and then it's going to have either PA or FA, so 2 letters, PA or FA. And then it's going to have 6 numbers after that. So that is sort of the standard format that you'll see. you can get your case number, if you don't know it, from any previous filings in your case, should have a case number on them. You can also get it from the child support agency in your county, or you may be able to get it from the Civil Records Center in your county. So those are different places to get that case number if you're not sure about it. And when you get the case number from child support, at least here in Milwaukee, it will often have a number in front of it. So here in Milwaukee, it's 40 and then number PAFA. That 40 in our case, or that whatever number it may be in your county, is a county code. And so it tells the child support agency what county the case is located in. But our courts only have their own county's cases, so they don't need that county code. So we'll just take it out. So you'll want to exclude that first number, that FA or PA or what it may be that goes there. And then one other thing to note is you may find that your case has a PJ at the end, a PJ at the end. And if you have that PJ, you're going to want to make sure that you include it. PJ stands for post-judgment. So if you see that in your case number, include it. If your case number doesn't seem to have a PJ, then you don't need to put that. All right, so that's all for the caption, but we are going to also look at this notice section. So the notice section is basically saying who needs to know that this case is happening. And so what you'll want to do is you'll want to list the other person's name, right? So in our situation, we're going to say that John is filing this motion, and so John would need to list Jane's name. And if you have checked child support and the state is a party, or if you've checked arrears and the state is a party, basically if there is any financial thing you're talking about and the state is a party, you're also going to list the state of Wisconsin. So there we go. So those are the people that need to get notice of this motion. And obviously, if in your situation there are additional people that need notice, like if you know there's a guardian ad litem or some other person that would need notice, you would list them as well. So then, down here, in this section, you don't need to fill this out. So as you see, this is for court use only. This is where your court will stamp in what court you're appearing before, where that will be located, and most importantly, the date of the hearing. All right, well, that is all for this section. I will be back later with more substantive information about filling out the modification motion. So thank you all for listening today, and now go out and represent yourselves well.